Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm GiGi flying solo. Just want to say Fruit Loop has taken some time today to read everybody's messages all across social media. And she was just blown away with all the messages she got. So she just wanted me to tell you guys, thank you so much. She's still resting and taking her pain medicine. So yeah, she's doing good. We appreciate you guys checking in on her. So before we get started, want to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Two Cool T-shirt Quilts. You can go to twocooltshirtquilts.com slash pretty lies and alibis and check them out. They'll know we sent you and they can take your t-shirts and make them into a quilt. That is too cool. All right. Today was a slower news day than yesterday. I think most days are slower than yesterday. But I really didn't have a whole lot to talk about Valo Daybell stuff or anything. So I decided I'm going to finish the Glimpse at Life series that we started a few weeks ago. And so for those of you that are new, you can go back through our podcast and wherever you listen. We have some episodes called A Glimpse at Life, and it is a look into what it's really like being in prison by somebody I know personally who is in prison for life in California. And it's kind of one of those things I think that documentaries are good. Orange is the New Black was great, but it really isn't necessarily how it is day to day. So I've been talking to my contact and have gained a lot of insight into what it's like. Before we get started, Dr. Husel was found not guilty on all charges today. Him and his defense attorney, the lady was crying and hugging Baez. Jose Baez was remote. He was in Florida. So he was up on the screen. But anyway, so that's over and done. And yeah, we do have a little bit of news about Lori. Her trial has been scheduled to begin October 11th of this year. Who would have thunk it, right? A few weeks ago, we were thinking she was going to get a year extension on the competency issue. And now we're going to have a trial October 11th through December the 16th. She has a status conference actually for next Thursday, the 28th at 1 o'clock. Then a pretrial hearing September 6th at 10 a.m. Officially, the prosecution has 59 days to file their intent to seek the death penalty. They have 60 days, or maybe a 60, I don't know, 60 days from the arraignment. So I feel like that's going to come. Um, Chad, Chad has it. Not sure why she would not. So everybody is super curious about this transition from jail to prison for Lori. It's not a pleasant one. It's definitely kind of graduating to a lot more stricter rules. You have a lot more people there, a lot different, I guess, a different population of people and their crimes. So, one interesting thing I learned talking to her is in prison, you can use Kool-Aid powder, the powder that you get in the little packs to make some hair dyes. It varies from prison to prison. Some prisons do not allow hair dye. They do have, for the most part, from what I understand, they do have little barber shops in there. Some prisons allow you to take like a cosmetology course. So I guess we know what Lori's going to apply to do as her prison job when she gets there is cut hair. Although it is very stiff competition and you might get shanked if you take somebody's salon job away. So we'll see how that works out for her. We've been wondering how she curls her hair. Now, I don't know if this is her method. I always say she wraps it around the bars, but pencils are often used as hair curlers if you want bigger ones and you have access to those thick markers used in kindergarten. You can use those too. So, when you are going from jail to prison, the clothes on your back will likely be the only tangible items you have on you. One of the big rules, if you wear glasses, you better wear them to your sentencing. So, other than prison issue clothing, what the person I know got, shoes, bedding, typically one razor, 2 bars of soap, 1 styrofoam cup, 1 toothbrush, 1 toothpaste or tooth powder, and 1 small pencil upon arrival to prison. That's your little welcome kit. Definitely not like getting a welcome kit at the Hilton. So let's just go through a few general rules. I have pulled up a few prisons in Idaho specifically that are women's prisons to get a general idea of how they run things. It says all orders, written, verbal, and any other will be promptly obeyed without question or argument. They have counts several times a day. That's where everybody returns to their cell and they do a head count to make sure nobody's trying to bust out the pokey. They have to go for that count. If you don't go, you can get in trouble. And all property, with the exception of shoes and approved bunk shelf items, must be stored in lockers or laundry baskets. When watching television or listening to music with earbuds or headphones, keep the volume low enough so that you can hear announcements and staff talking to you. They're not going to repeat themselves. Altering state property or personal clothing and or bedding is not authorized. For example, cutting the sleeves off t-shirts, ripping up socks or sheets to make headbands. So that's creative. Cut your sock up, make you a little headband. You can't just walk into other cells to hang out with people. That's not how it works. Violations always in that regard will result in disciplinary action. You can't hang your clothes on your bunk at any time. Any clothing hanging off bunks, heating vents, or wiring will be confiscated. So here's the thing. If I ever were to be sent to prison, and we all know I would shrivel up and die, would not thrive. I thought, well, okay, maybe I'd just sleep for however long I'm in there. The problem is, all residents must remain awake during programming or work hours, which is usually 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Exceptions, sometimes they will allow, this is one specific prison, by the way, they will allow a brief nap at 10 o'clock. I can't imagine trying to fall asleep in a facility with like 60 women around me. I just like, I can't. I cannot. It's you got people snoring, making all other body noises. Nope, would not thrive. Offenders are required to shower at least 3 times per week and maintain good personal hygiene habits. Can we just state the obvious? If you're bunking with somebody, I'm sorry, I'm like about to fall out this chair. Can you imagine bunking with somebody who showers only 3 times a week? I There's nothing you can do about it. You can't ask for a different cell. You just gotta smell all that. Oh my lord. Recreation rules when you're outside. Sorry, Lori, you may not lie down or sunbathe. You're gonna be pasty, girl. Clothing. So when you're out in public areas, full uniform. At this facility, it is a scrub top and bottom, an undershirt that must be tucked in, a bra, underwear, socks, shoes, and your ID. When you go night night, minimum amount of clothing you can have on. Minimum uniform is an undershirt, thermal, underwear, nightshirt, or shorts. Can't be sleeping in the buff. For dining, you can take 1 piece of unpeeled fruit and super snack only on the weekends back to your unit. It must be eaten prior to the next meal. Excess fruit and food items will be confiscated. So, commissary. This varies from prison to prison. I've done a lot of research on it just to try to see if there's kind of a happy medium of what you can get, how much it costs. The prices are about average across the board, but your commissary money comes from one of two places: money you make in prison or your family. Now, commissary items are overpriced. I mean, just overpriced. So the average income for prisoners per year is $180. If you're lucky, it can go up to 600, but that higher amount is not common. And people that get those kind of jobs, number one, either came in with experience in that work field or they've been there a really long time and they've been able to move up. It can be pennies on, you know, per hour. And here's the thing. If you at your sentencing, you're ordered to pay restitution, which Lori likely will be because she committed fraud against Social Security and the government. So let's say that you get a job and you make 60 cents an hour. You may have to give 50 cents of that back to pay for your restitution. So it's not like you get restitution ordered to be paid and then it just, you don't pay it ever. They take that out of your prison money. Sometimes I think out of your commissary money too. Uh, the contact I have said that if you're lucky, you'll find somebody who is willing to let your family put money on their books and then you have them shop for you or whatever. But here's the thing, she said she's seen so many times where one inmate who has really high restitution and can't afford anything puts money on somebody's books only for that person to all of a sudden not be friends and then that person's rich. So you just sit there while they eat a honey bun on your dime. Okay, so getting back to, oh, I'm sorry, quarterly boxes. This is something new that a lot of prisons are doing. So instead of a weekly shopping trip to the store inside the prison, families can order what they call quarterly boxes online. Now, you're only allowed so much, I think maybe 2, 3 pounds per box. So you have to really plan accordingly if you want a bunch of liquid stuff like shower gel, shampoo, that's gonna make your amount go up and you're not gonna be able to get as much. And the thing is, commissary quarterly boxes is kinda like dealing with children. You take away what's precious to them when you're punishing them. So a lot of times you can mess up, get in trouble. Well, they just take your commissary because that's gonna tick you off. It's gonna make you think next time. What do they have access to in the commissary or the quarterly boxes? It varies. I have to say I've looked up some from Idaho. They're kind of bare bones. Okay, so I didn't see any hair dye on the list in Idaho. None. All right. So she may be buying some Kool-Aid packets. But you have makeup, foundation, blush, eyeliner, mascara. It's really overpriced. The food that you get, it's been explained to me that if you could imagine going to the Dollar Tree and getting all the food they have there, and then jack up the prices 5 times, that's kind of what you can get in these commissaries. So it's not, I mean, it's not great. Prison's not supposed to be great. So there you go. Sometimes facilities will limit the amount you can spend where she used to be before the girl I know got moved, it was only $40 a week you could spend. But if you're spending $4 for a do-it-yourself tuna kit, doesn't go far. And then sometimes like your soaps, like your liquid soaps can cost $8 to $9 for what we would get at CVS or wherever for $4. So you see, you really have to think about it. All right, so let's just kind of finish up just prison life and the things that Lori will have to deal with throughout the years. Most rumors are taken as truth, and truth is discounted as rumor. Ultimately, this leads to drama all day long. If somebody doesn't like you, it is not uncommon for them to start drama about you and you've done nothing. So you tell this person, hey, she said that about you, and you just sit back and watch the entertainment. She said there is a de-evolution process in prison. You slowly shed the outside and things get more primitive inside. She said that this happens kind of quick for some people. It's just a daily survival thing. In prison, you battle the people inside you. You battle what you did, what happened because of that. A lot of people beat themselves up. Some people play the victim. In spite of having done horrible crimes, they come to prison feeling sorry for themselves because they're paying the price for the crimes they committed. She said that she's seen people within 6 months just descend into madness and change personalities. And she said sometimes within a month or 2, they're just unrecognizable from the person they came in as. And the bunks, she said, are hard. She said it is a thin vinyl mattress. A lot of inmates complain of bone pain, nerve pain. So it's not a purple mattress. People who have committed crimes against children are huge, huge targets. Inmates will corner someone who hurt a child. She's seen this happen and take body shots with various objects, meaning like you put a bar of soap in a sock And they'll hit you in places that can't be seen unless you're naked. So they'll hit you in the back, the upper thigh, the inner thigh. And that way the guards have no clue what's going on. And then if you snitch, it's just worse. When that person gets out of the shoe, as they call it, which is your isolation, it's just going to be worse. So she said um, a lot of people try to lie about whether or not they hurt a child. And she said sometimes the guards will tip the inmates off if they know this person's lying about hurting a child. And then it's just way worse than if you were to come in there and admit to what you're doing. She said, nobody reports the abuse. Um, she said snitching can get you cut from mouth to ear. She said she has seen that happening. Snitching, just they'll gas you up. That's crazy, y'all. I'd sleep with one eye open. So she gave me an example. One woman who drowned her young son, the thing they do with her, they will sometimes choke her to the point of her almost blacking out, enough to cause a severe panic, but not enough to kill her. She said, I was asking her about this just earlier this week. They love true crime shows, and they are all about Chad and Lori right now. They're not fans. They're intrigued by the case. She said that I talked to her today, and they did see a clip of the hearing yesterday on some news show last night in the common room. And she said the one thing that she can tell right out of the gate with the smirking, she said she's not going to adjust well at first in there. She said she does have this energy about her that kind of tells the world I'm important. But she said the smirking will get her hurt really, really quickly if she does it to the wrong person. A lot of the prison populations are in gangs, and it started young, sometimes as early as 10. She said it may give you a group to keep you safe, but oftentimes it's a constant debt that you owe to them. And if you don't pay, you're in trouble. Speaking of being in debt to somebody, a lot of times new arrivals, and we talked about this, I think, on the last one, they're desperate to find a group to hang with, to kind of feel like they're part of something really quickly. But the smallest acts that seem kind always have a price to pay. And before you know it, you haven't even got your feet wet in prison and you owe debts to people that have been in there 20 years. So you only have certain places you're allowed to be during certain times. And if you get caught in an area you're not allowed to be in, you could get your commissary taken away. You'll be written up. Privileges such as going to the common room, things like that, can be gone. She said the biggest thing, and one thing I didn't say yesterday is that I didn't see anybody from Lori's family was there. We had family for JJ and Tylee, but people who have visitors that come is hard because it's a lot of hoops to jump through, and sometimes it takes hours just for them to actually get to the visitation. Sometimes it can take hours for them to drive to the facility because you don't have a choice of where you're going. They don't care if your grandma's 20 minutes from this prison, you don't get a choice. And sometimes they can go through the red tape, the bus transport to the facility, and something happens. A fight could break out and nobody's getting visitation that day. It's hard on the families, especially the ones who sacrifice like a whole weekend for 1 hour of visitation. And she sees it all the time. These girls will get in trouble right before their scheduled visitation. They're on lockdown. Families told, sorry. When prisoners complain about the food, the conditions, or anything about being in prison, the common phrase they hear, deal with it. This is prison. If you don't like it, you shouldn't have come. The prison clothing we talked about, you can order little things from the commissary in certain facilities, maybe some slides, Adidas slides, or some gym shorts, but they're expensive. And she said a lot of times you'll have that stuff stolen and you can't tell anybody because then you're a snitch. So it's a cycle. For her, the prison gives her 5 pairs of underwear and 3 bras every 6 months. A lot of the time the sizes are wrong and they're cheaply made, so they rub you raw in places that aren't fun, but that's just kind of it. If you owe restitution, we talked about that. If you have $100 on your account, you could end up with $12. That was kind of a money figure she gave. And, so if your family puts $100 in your account, they take out a certain percentage for restitution, you're left with nothing. This can go endlessly if your restitution is a large amount because you don't make a ton of money in prison and your family's not going to front 10, 15, $20,000, however much your restitution is. So the girl I know makes 15 cents an hour and her restitution is expected to be paid in full at that salary in over 100 years. If that's the case, like we said, you can find someone you trust. The most popular jobs in prison are the most common jobs. Porters, which are janitors, clerical, teachers' aides, kitchen hire is the most popular. Table wipers, line servers, cooks, central kitchen, which are like food prep, dock workers, prison industry association, the textiles, they have healthcare facility management, construction, and you can also apply to assist other inmates that have disabilities. Pay begins at 4 cents an hour for this facility when you are a new inmate. You may, at the end of that year, your first year, make 35 cents an hour. So here's the thing. The one thing we have heard about the Madison County Jail is that their food is actually really, really good. It's all homemade. It's a smaller facility, so they can, take good care. In fact, I believe I remember somebody saying that the correctional officers actually eat from the kitchen. Prison food is much worse than jail food, guys. The meals are usually cold by the time you sit down. They're wet from condensation, and it's just gross stuff. Power in prison is a rare thing. The people with the most power are the ones who can provide skills to other inmates or someone who always has something of value, like plenty of canteen money. Once someone has a position of authority, more times than not, they just become monsters. Some inmates have bonds with correctional officers, and some don't. The ones that have bonds with correctional officers tend to be the ones that put little bugs in their ears and says, "Hey, this girl's this girl's that." She said ultimately it's just endless and you feel like every day feels like a year. She said survival mode comes fast. But she said also your needs for survival can change daily. If you have hearings about your case while incarcerated and you don't attend, it can take a week or more to learn the results sometimes. The girl I know doesn't leave prison at all, not even for doctor's appointments if she has a special one. She said it would be way too painful to get on a bus and see the free world and have to go right back. So, yeah, you guys need not worry. If Lori is put in prison, she's not going to thrive. Chad's not going to thrive at all. It's even worse for men, I think, on a lot of levels as far as the physical threat. I just can't imagine living the rest of my life with a bunch of women all the time, 24/7. It just, I would go nuts. So, yeah, but here we are, guys. I mean, we may, right before Christmas, have a verdict that sends her to prison for the rest of her life or possibly the death penalty. We don't know yet. So, yeah, I think we're going to have some more hearings for Lori that just aren't out there yet. There's a lot of stuff to catch up on. Although yesterday Archibald did say that Lori did not object to having the trial in Ada County. So I'm still trying to figure out though, why would she not waive her right to a speedy trial? I mean, it's got to be strategic. I don't know. Anyways, so that kind of finishes it up. If, like I say, if you're new, go back and listen. There's some cool stuff that we've learned in this, and it really is kind of full circle because we follow this stuff to verdict, and maybe you hear something a year down the road after they've been incarcerated. But yeah, the day to day prison life that will be her reality and Chad's reality for the rest of their life. It is not a pleasure cruise, and I don't think she knows what's coming. Because ultimately, when she's convicted, that's where she's going. She doesn't get a choice about anything. You don't get a choice about one aspect of your life in prison. You are always at the mercy of guards and the other inmates. So, all right, guys, it was just a slow news day. I wanted to finish this out. We got busy last time we started this up again. It's always good to kind of throw this in every now and then. Um, Oh, the other thing, JPay. JPay is a big, big, big inmate communication company. They do have the tablets that inmates can buy. The tablets are very basic. They don't access the internet. You can do ingoing or outgoing videograms. So I could send a 15-second video to her. However, it costs to send and then it cost for her to reply. Some JPay tablets you can like rent movies on, but it's not like Netflix or anything like that. You can put money in the media account where they can download music. Some of them have games you can purchase. A lot of that as well, though, depends on your behavior, and some prisons don't allow you just straight away to get a tablet. You have to work your way up to that benefit level, and then you're dependent on family putting money into the JPay account, which a lot of times is separate than your commissary account. So you see too how families can be stressed because they're paying for overpriced stuff. I think the tablets are around $70, and then you have to buy AirPods. You can get TVs on some commissary lists. They're very small. They have to be clear. So if you remember the old phones in the 80s where you could see all the innards of it, that's exactly what these look like. And for the person I know in prison, they are just on a basic antenna. So it depends on the weather. They may not have a good reception. I know she can get PBS, and sometimes they can get a local station for the news and stuff. In the common room, they do have several channels where I guess they have dedicated cable. But she did say yesterday when Lori and Chad's story came up on whatever they were watching, everybody stopped. And she was asking them, "What do you think about her?" Because she knows we covered this case. And everybody said, "Oh boy, too bad she's not coming here." So, anyways, all right, guys, have a good day. We'll see what tomorrow brings. And hope you guys have a good evening.